And we welcome you back here to the Big Time Sports Podcast Show. It is now time to welcome in a special guest to the pod. He is the starting guard for the NCAA tournament-bound Cougars of the College of Charleston, who will be taking on the Aztecs of San Diego State this coming Thursday in Orlando. He is also an alum of West Liberty University in West Virginia, and of course, Indian Valley High School in Janaden-Hutton, Ohio. He is one Dalton Bolon. Dalton, thank you so much for taking the time, man.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on, man.
Of course, no problem, man. I mean, this is big. You guys are making this run to the NCAA tournament. You guys win your guys' conference championship game this past week against UNC Wilmington, and we see you guys celebrating on Selection Sunday, which is amazing because it's rare I get to see a guy that I actually know being able to partake in that celebration. I mean, what was that for you? That experience like for you guys being able to be in your guys' arena and just exploding when you hear your name called on screen?
Yeah, it was surreal. I think it's awesome. Like, that I'm in Charleston and like the city, the support we have here is what's amazing. Like there's a lot of people that pulled out and it meant so much to those people, our fans, and our team, obviously. So it was just great to celebrate that moment with them.
No doubt. You've had quite an experience throughout your basketball career. I mean, starting off in Indian Valley, where you worked your way up into becoming one of the all time leading scorer for the Braves. Then you go into West Liberty's program. You work your way up there to a point where you're just really trying to make a name for yourself, and you do that by making multiple All America squads, including one year where you're wearing an eye patch for a good majority of the season. And then you get to this point where it's the end of your time with the Hilltoppers, and you're just kind of figuring yourself out of where you want to go next. You may go back to another school, you might go pro, and then I did read somewhere that you had an experience in that you had a phone call with the assistant coach for the Cougars and Brian Cloman. What did that conversation go like to convince you that College of Charleston was the way to go for you?
Yeah, initially, like you mentioned, I loved West Liberty, and loyalty is a big thing for me. And I wanted to end my career there, and so I was dead set on going pro, and just kind of was doing some research and stuff, and figured that my best option was to go Division I, and to get more exposure and play against a little bit top notch competitors. So entered my name in the portal, and I wanted to go to West Virginia. I was set stone going to West Virginia. Wanted to play for Coach Huggins, being an Indian Valley guy himself, and I was pretty set in stone with that. And then, like you said, I got a call from Coach Coleman, one of the assistants here. And, he was like the only dude that called me that I actually like enjoyed. I mean, I enjoyed talking to the other coaches, but like it was just outside of basketball, like he like brought up a bunch of stuff. Dude left a voicemail on my phone of him singing a whole Chris Stapleton song. He's just a real personable dude. So, it just stuck out with me, and then talked to him, and I knew they were about winning, and Charleston's a great city. So it just checked all the boxes. It was something different for me. And, I'm blessed that, I was able to get that phone call to lead me here.
Well, Dalton, aside from the skills that you have and that you were one of the top scorers in the conference this year, I mean, obviously the top scorer as part of the Cougars program, a big part of your game is toughness. I've seen your highlights. I've seen your highlights at West Lib. I've seen your highlights at Charleston, man. You are a guy who's able to get aggressive, and not just in basketball. I mean, I read up on the stories where I believe if I'm getting this wrong, I want to make sure you correct me. You super glued together like your stitchings, but the night before a football game so that you could play in it because you didn't because you got into a car accident, and then there was obviously the eye patch thing where you got your eye injured in a pickup game. I mean, what being a guy who can really be aggressive on the court, a guy who can really get down and dirty when he needs to. I mean, how important is that to you, not just as a player on court, but as someone who just kind of carries themselves in the way of like he has a lot of confidence about him?
I think it stems from, the things I'm passionate about. Like I'm an all-in guy, and, I love basketball. I love competing. I love sports. And, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it all in to the best of my ability. I realize that I'm not the most athletic. I realize that, I'm not even the most skilled, but, I think I think it's a skill to play hard. I think it's a skill to be in shape, to be able to play hard for a longer period of time. And, I love bringing the energy. I love, just honestly playing harder than people. That's what I take my pride on. But I think it just stems from where I grew up, growing up playing football, growing up, I was never the most talented athlete, but, I just love having fun. And, it's fun to do things differently. And I think playing hard and playing a certain way, the way I do, is a little bit different than most people. So I just enjoy doing that.
Now, I was going to say that you had basically you're starting in a new school the year before this past one at Charleston compared to the years you had at West Lib. Obviously, you picked up a number of different things for your game along the way. What do you think was the biggest difference between the stuff that you learned at West Lib compared to the stuff you learned in a shorter term with the Cougars program?
Yeah, man. West Liv has done so much for me. I think going to West Liberty, I wasn't really expecting to play it. I don't know. I didn't think basketball was going to be, such a big part of my future. I wanted to be a part of a winning culture. I wanted to be a part of a winning team, and West Liberty was that. So I was grateful to be there. But then I redshirted my first year there, and then I started really. That's when I really like fell in love with like the game of basketball, and getting better and finding ways to be a part of the team, and have impact and roles. And West Liberty, that our call or our Charleston like coaches always tease with us because we got many D2 kids on our team at Charleston. They always tease with us, in D2, all you learn is how to score. And that's not necessarily true, but at West Liberty, that I really took pride in like how to score, and that's where I got better at. And then coming here in the College of Charleston was where I think I grew and developed a maturity in my game of accepting a role. You're not always going to get the most shots. You're not always going to get the most playing time, and just accepting a role and thriving in it and being that guy that can be consistent, dependable, and you learn a lot more of things of like systems and how to like guard certain actions and this and that. And in the Division I level, you play against some top athletes where like you have to be on top of your stuff a little bit more than maybe you would have to be in Division II. But I would say like learning that kind of systems has really developed in my 2 years in Charleston.
Dalton, the Cougars started off as one of the hottest teams in the NCAA in all conferences this year. You guys won, I believe, 21 of your first 22 games. You had that long winning streak. You peaked up into the top 25 for the first time in 2 decades, which is a huge accomplishment. I mean, every team starts, though, day one. Every team starts at a certain point. From where you guys started early on in the season to where you're at now, what do you think are some of the biggest differences, not just for your game, but for the rest of your teammates?
Yeah, I think roles have been established. I think it's important for any team to have a culture, and I think that's one thing that makes us special. Is Coach Kelsey, the head coach here, he is elite at building a culture, not only with the team but with the community. And the buy-in here is the most buy-in I've ever seen by a team, and I've been on this is my 7th team, and just having guys accept roles, and sometimes those roles aren't the most fun. It's not the most minutes, it's not the most shots, it's not the most this, but we have a mature team, we have veteran guys, and honestly, I think a part of our secret success is we have guys that came from smaller divisions. Division II transfers, NAIA transfers, and veteran guys. And coming from those places, you get a little bit more perspective of playing at Division I, and you become more appreciative of just playing in an atmosphere that's sold out, playing on national television, playing in March Madness. You become appreciative of any role that you can get, and you really embrace it. And, I think obviously in the beginning of the year, we were still trying to find ourselves a little bit. And then, like you said, we went on that little run, and that was when we started to find ourselves. We lost ourselves in a couple games, but we're just getting better, and we're embracing our roles. And, I think that's what makes us so dangerous.
Couple notable games along that way. You guys, the first loss you had in the season was against then number 1 North Carolina. You had a number of great wins in conference, and now you also beat my alma mater, Kent State University, who will also be making the tournament here in just a couple of days. Now, you guys go up against an Aztec squad that is coming on pretty strong throughout the last couple of weeks. I mean, what has Coach been really trying to make sure he can drill into your guys' heads as you go into a different environment against a very different team than you've experienced, not just this season, but your whole career, basically?
Yeah, I mean, they're a really good team. Like you said, I mean, anybody in this tournament's going to be great. You can throw the seeds out. The seeds don't matter. And any team that makes this March Madness tournament, they're on a winning streak. They're, most of them are on a winning streak, but they're top notch teams. They're there for a reason. San Diego State is a great team. They're big. They play really physical. We're very athletic. They try to disrupt you. So there's a lot of X and O stuff that we've been going over, and we're ready for them. But I just think, you know, what got us here is what we need to be focused on, and ultimately, just we say it all the time, just be great at us, and we have unselfish dudes that we're 10 deep, and we got guys that can really play, and there's a reason why we're here. There's a reason why we have 31 wins, and we're going in the tournament not satisfied. Like we know we can win games. We know we can be one of the top teams in the country, and we're going to go there to prove that. So we're excited.
A big part of your game throughout this season for the Cougars, just all you guys in general, has been a 3-point shooting. There have been a number of times this year where you guys can get really hot, and that can lead to some big offensive outbursts. Take those away. Let's say you have more of a grindhouse matchup against the Aztecs this coming Thursday. What are some of the biggest factors and most important factors that you would really have to drill down to ensure that you can get some really good progress?
Yeah, I think one thing that makes us one of the top teams in the country, they do say a lot about 3-point shooting and all this, but it's funny. We never go over, how to get threes. We never do. That's not part of our game plan. It just happens. They generates in the offense itself. But we always tease like, you have all these actions and all this stuff offensively, but the real game starts when you shoot the ball. And, we pride ourselves in offensive rebounding, going hard. That's something that you can always control. And that's something we've been really top notch at, just being relentless on the offensive glass. And, San Diego State is tough. They're a great defensive team. They're like ranked 10th in the country in defense. And we know it's going to be tough. It's going to be a grind out game, and it's going to be one of them muddy, ugly games. And I honestly think we thrive in that type of game. And it's going to be the battle of the backboards, and we got guys for it, and we're ready. So I think the offensive rebounding is going to be a big key to our game.
Well, I will say, Dalton, 5 versus 12 is always a very interesting matchup in the NCAA tournament year in and year out. 31 of the last 36, if I'm not mistaken, have had at least 5 through 12 upset throughout the tournament's last couple of seasons. So, again, man, I really do appreciate you taking the time to join me today, and best of luck to you and the rest of the Cougars on Thursday and down in Orlando.
Right on, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.